In the early to mid-20th century, the Dominican Republic found itself under the rule of underhanded dictator Rafael Trujillo. Trujillo came into power in the year 1930, assuming control from his position as commander-in-chief of the National Army. Though he made strides in reducing foreign debt and developing economic prosperity for the people of the Dominican Republic, he harbored an awful disregard for what many claimed to be basic human rights. Despite various atrocities, such as the massacre of some 20,000 Haitians and numerous assassinations of his own people using his secret police force, foreign powers seemed to overlook his regime for a number of decades. Lacking outside intervention, it was only a matter of time before native rebels would rise to oppose Trujillo. A particularly notable trio of sisters were a powerful inspiration for many resistance cells throughout the country. Mirabal's sisters, Patria, Minerva, and Maria Teresa, became known to the underground as Las Mariposas, the butterflies, as they pursued resistance efforts against Trujillo. In response to the rising insurgency, Trujillo sent out his secret service to track down the many cells and have them dealt with. During this period, many resistance cells would have to disband, and many families flee to escape the brutality of Trujillo's secret police. One such family was that of 10-year-old Julia Alvarez. Alvarez's father had been one of many involved in the resistance who were forced to flee the country under the threat of the police. With the help of a family friend, an American agent, they were able to escape to the United States and settle in Brooklyn. A mere 4 months after their departure, Las Mariposas would be brutally assassinated by Trujillo's secret police, and around a year later, Trujillo himself would meet the same fate by the resistance and some of his own officers, after 31 years of sovereignty. Born in New York in 1950, Alvarez's family had returned to the Dominican Republic when she was but 3 months old. There, she attended an English school, learning the language and growing up with Dominican culture. Returning to the United States presented young Alvarez with a variety of struggles. She wrestled with the harsh accents of American English, her family lost the respect and higher social standing they had in the DR, and her family was forced to squeeze into a tight Brooklyn apartment as opposed to her large family home in the DR. It was during this period of transition that Alvarez developed her passion for reading and storytelling. As Alvarez grew older, reaching secondary schooling and later college, she became set on her goal of becoming an author. At this point in time, however, Latino literature was almost non-existent, with Afro-American literature just entering the scene, so Alvarez bided her time. She took the time to continue pursuing her education and spent a number of years traveling the country writing poetry in schools. Eventually, Alvarez became a high school teacher, then a college professor at Middlebury College. In the year 1991, Alvarez made 2 major lifetime accomplishments. She gained tenure at Middlebury College, and she published her first and most critically acclaimed novel, How the Garcia Girls Lost Their Accents. How the Garcia Girls Lost Their Accents is a novel about the 4 Garcia sisters who have immigrated to the United States and the struggles they face in adapting to U.S. culture and balancing their heritage from the Dominican Republic with their newfound selves in the U.S. The book is structured into a series of 15 shorter stories, each from the perspective of one of the sisters. The experiences of the sisters are heavily implied to be based on Alvarez's own experiences as an immigrant, as it is revealed in some of her later writing. The situation in which Alvarez placed her characters allowed her to communicate the hardships faced by herself and other immigrant children. She interplays and relates the development of the girls' language skills to their changing sense of self to discuss the way that immigrants attain their American identities. Through the girls' stories, Alvarez develops the idea that language plays an important role in the definition of the self, and that the definition of oneself will always be impacted by one's past and memories. Considering this idea, the Garcia girls find themselves redefining each of their own selves and becoming more American, but never truly feeling like Americans, as part of them will always reside back in the Dominican Republic, where they spent their younger years. Language not only plays a role in defining the self in her novel, The various Garcia sisters also face the issue of not being able to express that self. Without the knowledge of what words to use to properly describe a topic or idea, the girls each find their own difficulties. Sister Yolanda is the one who finds the most difficulty in expressing herself through language. She comes up with a myriad of nicknames with which she can describe herself to communicate what part of herself she is feeling or expressing, yet still this is not enough. Throughout the novel, Alvarez uses similar examples to create an unbreakable link between language and the self that many immigrants will experience in their journey to adapt to a new country. A few years after the publication of her first novel, Alvarez will release another. In this novel, she gives homage to the turmoil her family fled back in the Dominican Republic. This new novel would follow Las Mariposas and their resistance efforts from the perspectives of the 3 rebel sisters and their 4th surviving sister. Though based on reality, the book would be mostly fiction, attempting to recount the efforts of Las Mariposas under the Dominican Republic's tyrannical leader. Throughout the years, Alvarez has continued to write, currently amassing a total of 6 novels, 3 non-fiction works, 3 collections of poetry, and 10 works targeted towards younger readers. These works include a sequel to How the Garcia Girls Lost Their Accents, titled Yo, meaning I, referring to oneself, in Spanish, which focuses on the character Yolanda. However, Alvarez claims that piece a separate title as opposed to a sequel. The majority of Alvarez's most recent work happens to be targeted towards her younger audience in the form of picture books or novellas. Julia Alvarez now spends her days writing on a small farm in Vermont with her husband, Bill Eichner, who grows a variety of fruits and vegetables as well as raises some livestock. In addition to her writing, she occasionally teaches courses and advises at Middlebury College, though she has forfeited her tenured position to focus on writing.